calling it the hug heard around the world. Republican Florida Governor Charlie Crist hugged the president, embraced stimulus. Now, Marco Rubio is embracing that moment and using it against Crist in the Senate primary. He's running as the conservative choice and cutting Crist's lead in half just 5 days before Election Day. Marco Rubio joins me right now. Now, we've extended several invitations to Governor Crist, as yet no response. But Mr. Rubio, very good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
What do you make of what's been happening in the polls? Obviously you've been busy on the stump, but people seem to be reassessing stimulus and whether it benefited Florida, whether the governor's closeness to the president benefited him. What do you think of that?
Well, two things have happened. First, stimulus hasn't benefited anybody in Florida. People don't see it. They don't realize it, and they understand one thing, and that is that the only lasting impact of this stimulus is going to be the debt that it leaves behind for generations. And they're unhappy about that. They're also tired of apologizing for their principles. Particularly, this is a Republican primary, a closed Republican primary, and Republicans in Florida are tired of being told that they have to somehow become more like Democrats in order to win elections. And I think this campaign is going to prove that that's not true.
All right, now, you know there's this great third-party movement going on in the country where you have this guy, Doug Hoffman, in upstate New York, congressional race getting attention. Chris Daggett, not exactly a renegade conservative, but a very influential, powerful independent party candidate, former Republican, running for governor of New Jersey. What's going on here?
Well, I think there's some level of frustration among conservatives that even though they're the mainstream of the Republican Party, oftentimes there's been this thought process emerging in Republican circles in some places that the way to win elections is to moderate our message and become more like the Democrats. But that's going to begin to change. You're starting to see that all around. The truth is that conservative thought, the belief that our government should be limited, that is the mainstream of America. What's outside the mainstream of America is this belief that we should somehow spend money we don't have, that we should print it and borrow it, and that this belief that somehow government and presidents create jobs as opposed to entrepreneurs and small businessmen. And the majority of American people understand that's not true, and it's way outside the mainstream.
Still, when it comes to polls, even though you're narrowing the gap with the governor, when they pit either of you against the likely Democratic nominee, Kendrick Meek, you trail by 20 points, the latest poll I have, and the governor is almost even. Well, what's the deal?
No, that's not. In fact, Rasmussen did a poll last week that shows that I beat Kendrick Meek by 16 points, and Charlie Crist beats him by 14 points. In essence, the latest Rasmussen, which is a highly respected polling firm.
So in other words, you think you're competitive. If he were to win, would you entertain a third-party run?
No. Well, first, you can't do that in Florida. Florida, you can only run once. You can't switch parties once you've been on the ballot once. Second of all, I'm a Republican. I think the Republican Party is the natural home of the conservative movement. It's where it belongs. It's where it's most effective. Okay. But that's not inevitable. That has to be earned, and that has to be worked on. That's what this campaign is about.
Marco Rubio, thank you. More after this.
Thank you.